Greetings, mortals! It is I, Remortis, and today we are back in Baldur's Gate 3, thanks to the Patch 8 update. This time, we'll be covering the most notorious subclass in the entirety of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. The Hexblade, the power gamer's wet dream, that comes with an incredible package all at level 1. And with only just a level 1 investment in the subclass, we'll be receiving charisma-based attacks, access to the Booming Blade cantrip, which is absolutely bonkers, as you guys should know by now, the shield spell, and medium armor. It is loaded. And the purpose of this guide is to explain the Hexblade, some of its interactions, and provide a few different build ideas. But don't worry! We will have a quick version so that you can get your info and bounce. And for those of you who'd like to hear more, stick around. Alright, let's just get right into it, shall we? So before we get into the quick guide, I do want to put a caveat out there that this is filmed during Patch 8's stress test, so things are subject to change. I don't imagine too many things changing about the Hexblade other than some bug fixes. So, with that out of the way, here we go. Alright, so for the quick guide, you can either decide to invest into 1 level of Hexblade, 6 levels of Hexblade, or 12. The Hexblade is probably one of the subclasses that actually makes a really, really good 12 levels of Warlock. But it's also amazing at multi-classing as well. The main reason is because Hexblade allows you to use your charisma-based attacks right at level 1 with their version of the binding weapon, similar to the Pact of the Blade, but this one's a little bit better because we also get Hexblade's Curse, which will put a curse on somebody similar to Hex. It's a bonus action, you can use it once per short rest, and it'll make it so your target will receive extra damage based on your proficiency bonus. So now we'll be using a proficiency bonus for attacking and for damage while this curse is active. And on top of that, it'll also lower the requirement to crit. So instead of rolling a 20, we just need to roll a 19, and this will stack with the other effects in the game, so you can do some really cool crit fishing. But then on top of that, Baldur's Gate 3 allowed it so whenever you attack somebody with your Hex weapon, you have a chance to apply this curse for free. I think it's a 20% chance is what I'm hearing. As I mentioned, the Hexblade is a notorious for being really good at subclassing. It's going to enable a lot of really good builds, especially with the only 1 level investment. So you're going to see a ton of pretty much any kind of charisma character combined with a Hexblade, and they're going to be really solid. Swordsbard just got a lot better, Paladin just got a lot better, Sorkadin's got better, Sorlakadin's got better, Sorlak's got better, and what else is there? What else am I missing? Well, you get the point, right? Pretty much if it has charisma, and you are intending on going in melee, grab at least a 1 level dip into Hexblade, and you're good to go. And as far as this particular guide is going to go, we're going to be showcasing a pure level 20 Hexblade Warlock, as well as 2 different multi-class options. Alright, so that was a quick guide, and oh man, I'm trying to contain myself from just rambling on and on. If you were just here for the quick guide, please like, comment, subscribe for more guides like these. And I'll see you in the next video. And for those of you who'd like to get more information about the Hexblade, stick around. And we'll get into character creation right now. Alright, so here we are at character creation. Before we go into the nitty-gritty of which race is best for this subclass, what origin will be good for the subclass? The obvious choice here is going to be Will. He's already a warlock, he wants to be using swords, he is the Blade of the Frontiers after all. So I would highly suggest using this build on Will if you want to stick to an origin, or if you just want to use this character as one of your party members. However, the Dark Urge is going to make a fantastic choice as well. And really anybody. I also believe Lae'zel would make a pretty solid Hexblade in terms of like lore and such, since she is a Githyanki and the Hexblade is a very common Warlock subclass for Githyanki to choose, since they are Gishes most of the time, which are characters that use melee and magic. Because I don't really use Will that often, we'll be using him as our poster child, so to speak, for the Hexblade. But in reality, you know we're going to be choosing a different race here. So probably go with Dark Urge or Tav, whatever you want to do. And what races are going to be good for your Hexblade? Well, really anything. Pick whatever you desire here. However, there is one in particular that shines to me. Can you guess what it is? Wrong. It's the half-orc. Or maybe you're right. Why is that? Let's go over what the orc can give us. Dark vision. Yeah, who cares? Relentless endurance. If you reach 0 hit points, you're now at 1 hit point instead. So you can potentially survive a TPK if they hit you with a nice big attack and they have no extra turns. This will probably save you in some of your runs, especially solo runs. But the reason why we're going to be looking at the half-orc here for this build is for savage attacks. Whenever you crit, you get an extra weapon die. We're going to be critting a lot as a Hexblade. Why is that? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at it. Notably, let's go ahead and look at our Hexblade's Curse. And we'll backtrack to our other ability. So the Hexblade's Curse, as I mentioned before, it is a bonus action, and you'll be able to use your proficiency bonus on your damage. You will also lower your die needed to get a critical strike. So instead of 20, we just need to roll a 19. And this should stack with the other crit stacking abilities in the game. So you can do some pretty cool stuff here. And then if you're a half-orc, you'll be able to take even more advantage of that. Alright, so let's go ahead and backtrack to the other feature we're going to get at Hexblade level 1. Find Hex Weapon. So we'll be able to choose any weapon in the game, we cast this on it, and now we're going to be proficient with it. Whenever we attack with that weapon, we have a chance to apply Hexblade's Curse. Hexblade Curse is a pretty nice debuff to inflict on people. However, there's another reason why we're going to want to have our targets have Hexblade Curse on it, and we'll get to that later. At level 6. But beyond that, by just binding whatever this weapon is, we'll have charisma-based attacks right away. So you could use this on a great sword, a great axe, a rapier, whatever kind of weapon you feel like, and you'll get bonus here. I'm pretty sure it applies to ranged weapons as well, so if you wanted to be a Hex Archer, you could totally do that. But beyond that, we're also going to have access to spells that other Warlocks normally don't get. Notably, the Shield spell, and then pretty much every flavor of Smite spells in the game. I don't typically use the Smite spells, but it's still nice, flavorful options, and sometimes they actually have merits. Alright, so at level 1, we're going to be starting off with our cantrips back here. Eldritch Blast, obviously, it's a really well-rounded Warlock spell, especially when you can evolve them with the incantations, or invocations. We're going to pick up Booming Blade, which is an insane cantrip, as I've been mentioning in every video since this damn patch came out, and it's even crazier in Baldur's Gate 3. And the Warlock is obviously going to be using Booming Blade on top of that. Alright, so these are our spell choices, the Shield and Wrathful Smite. Luckily, whenever you pick this subclass, it'll automatically pick these. Just make sure you go back and change to get your cantrip. Just go back and make sure you change your cantrip so that you pick up Booming Blade. Another thing you need to know, another thing to consider as well when you're making a Warlock, or rather when you're doing a level 1 dip into it, you're also going to get access to medium armor and shields. Even if you didn't pick the Warlock from the get-go. So you're going to get that no matter what because it's a level 1 feature from the Hexblade itself. Alright, so now how do we want to do our stats? Well, since we're going to be using charisma-based attacks, obviously we're going to want our charisma to go to the moon. So we're going to max that to 17. You're probably going to end up doing the Hag's Hair to get that up to 18. But if it's for somebody like Will or somebody else in your party, and you don't have enough Hag Hairs for everybody, you can buy up the 16 charisma and just save you some points. Unless you decide to pick up Actor later, and then it's a whole thing. So you can get by a 16, 17 if you intend on getting Actor or Hag Hair to round it up to 18. But anyways, I'm going to keep rambling on. So let's go ahead and lower all of our stats here and put things in right there. So this is the stat spread we're going to be looking at. 16 in Dexterity, a 14 in Constitution, 10 Wisdom, and 17 in Charisma. The reason why we want Dexterity is so we have better armor class and initiative. However, we are also going to have access to medium armor, so I guess the extra Dexterity beyond 14 isn't too necessary, because when you're wearing medium armor, the Dexterity bonus only caps at 2. Although there are some medium armors that will increase it to 3, so either way, we're going to want this for initiative. And the Constitution, obviously we want higher hit points so we don't die, but then also the higher Constitution we have, the more we can concentrate on our spells. Granted, as a Hexblade, we're not going to be casting too many spells, and also we're a Warlock, but Hunger Hadar is still a thing, and it's still good, even as a Hexblade. So, concentration's always nice. But there's another reason why we might consider having concentration for another spell we're going to get at level 5 for free. But anyhow, so this is pretty much your level 1. As I mentioned, this is a really good subclass for Will, It's a good subclass for half-orcs or any race you desire. If I were to choose a race that was not the half-orc, I'd probably end up going with the Duergar. But again, pick whatever you desire. Half-orc is only here just for a little bit of min-maxy goodness for extra crits, since we're going to be creating a lot with our Hexblade's Curse. And also, this first build is going to be strictly a pure level 12 Hexblade Warlock. So let's move on to our other character, and we'll continue the build. Alright, here we are at level 2. We're going to be able to pick up 2 more level 1 spells. I'm going to recommend picking up Hex and Armor of Agathis. Armor of Agathis is an amazing defensive spell. I could not emphasize this enough. And Armor of Agathis is actually another reason why it's really fun to multi-class in the Warlock, because other people don't get this spell. And you can upcast this with your other spell slots and just get so much survivability. And a little bit more damage in that sense too. So right off rip, this is going to increase your temporary hit points by 5, and whenever you are hit in combat, they will take 5 damage. And every time you upcast this, you get even more health, etc., etc. So, and there's some really cool combos we can do here, and at some point we'll probably do some kind of Frost Knight kind of thing, and we'll be using this. Anyways, really good spell. Hex is another really good Warlock spell, especially in combination with all your Eldritch Blasts or anything that has multiple hits, because this will essentially add 1d6 necrotic damage to whatever your attack is, whether it's spell or a weapon strike. Pretty cool. Just another damage writer. It's really simple, easy to use. Does use a bonus action, does require concentration, so keep all that in mind. Which is also kind of why we want to have another good constitution score, so we can get more concentrated goodness to use things like Hex. But this is not going to be the only spell we're going to be concentrating on, don't worry. Alright, so moving on to our invocations. Really, there's only 3 options I believe you should be considering here. Since we are going to be playing as a pure Warlock in this specific build, I'm going to suggest picking up Agonizing Blast and Repelling Blast right off rip, just so you can enhance your Eldritch Blast to do more damage based on your Charisma, and also be able to start doing soft crowd control by knocking them away, or potentially knocking them off the edge too. I suggest getting this right away, and at level 5 we'll get another invocation, and we can pick up Devil's Sight. Devil's Sight is an amazing invocation here, because we can abuse darkness, so this will, if you're playing a Drow, or have other ways to get darkness other than your Hexblade, other than your Warlock, you have a bunch of other ways to inflict darkness on the battlefield, we'll be able to see through it and be able to take advantage of that. It's really fun, actually. But we'll be picking up Devil's Sight in a little bit, but right off the bat, I like starting off with Agonizing Blast and Repelling Blast in the early game. Alright, moving on to level 3. This is where things get a little bit interesting, because we get our Pact Moon. Most people's instinct are going to go with Pact of the Blade, but as it stands right now, the Hexblade will overwrite everything about the Pact of the Blade. And it will kind of bug things out too, if you're multi-classing. So hopefully they fix this before the playtest, but either way, I wouldn't be using Pact of the Blade anyways, because we get all that free stuff from Hexblade. What I was referring to with the bug was when you're multi-classing specifically. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Alright, so what does this open up for us? Well, we can do Pact of the Chain, so we can get a little stronger minion on our side. Or we can go with Pact of the Tome, and that's what we're going to go with here. This is going to allow us to get Guidance, Vicious Mockery, and Thorn Whip for free as cantrips. Just Guidance alone is worth this feature. And it's going to get even better at level 5. As for our level 2 spells now, this is also where things get a little bit interesting, because Shadowblade has also been added to our roster of spells for the Warlock. And Shadowblade is a really, really good spell. It's going to just be able to create you a short sword, a magical short sword that deals psychic damage, that does 2 to 16 damage, just level that with your second spell slot. The reason why this is so good is because it lasts until your long rest. So it's permanent for the whole adventuring day or until you go to sleep. But since we can now have access to it in our spell list, that means we can upcast it. And every upcast beyond when you first cast it will increase its damage by 1d8. So yeah, it can get pretty crazy, especially in the higher levels you go. Most of the other weapons in the game won't be able to really compete with it. And it's also a really good backup too. If you can't happen to find a good weapon anywhere, Shadowblade will be really good for you. It does do psychic damage though, so it won't do damage on things that are immune to it. So typically things like constructs. So that's just something to consider. You can either go Shadowblade, just have that nice backup weapon. I go Darkness if you're going to be using Darkness shenanigans. Invisibility is always nice. Misty Step is always nice to get to the right spot. I'm probably just going to go with Misty Step, even though we're going to try to use our spell slots sparingly, but sometimes you need to have it in emergencies to get it out of dodge or, you know, what have you. Otherwise, they pick up Shadow Blade or Invisibility or Darkness. All those are good choices. And then for Pack Boon again, we're going to be picking Pact of the Tome, and we're going to move on. All right, level 4. We get another cantrip. Pick whatever you desire. You probably would pick up Friends at this point, so you can get a little bit better stuff in dialogue. We also get another second level spell. We're just going to grab Shadow Blade here. Oh, I forgot we have a Mirror Image too. Dang, they have a pretty good spell list at level 2, but we have very limited spell slots, so you got to keep that in consideration. Anyways, back to our feats here. You can either decide to go with Actor to get a +1 or Charisma, and also get Deception and Performance as proficient skills and expertise in them as well. And we'll also be able to increase our Charisma by 1, as I just mentioned, and that'll round us up to 18, so then we can just get one more ability score improvement to get up to 20. Or you can just go up to 19 right now with the ability score improvement, and then pick up the Hag's Hair to get the 20 Charisma. Some other ones you want to consider is, because we can bind any weapon to us, we can use two-handed weapons quite well. In which case, we're going to go with Great Weapon Master. But that's going to be something we'll pick up later. Because right now, the main thing that we want to focus on is getting high Charisma. Although if you don't really care about getting +1 to your attacks, perhaps getting Great Weapon Master in the early game is pretty nice to have, because it hits really fucking hard. So if you have somebody in your team that casts Bless, or if you grab a certain greatsword at Joaquin's at the Burning Inn, when you, I believe her name is Reva, one of the guards there, she has a really lovely greatsword that will pretty much give you Bless for free. That increases your attacks by 1d4, and on things that are wounded. So we'll get to that in a later time. Or probably a later video, honestly. But otherwise, I'm going to be rambling all day, and we're not here trying to do that. So, yeah. Level 4, we're just going to go with our ability score improvement, just to make it simple. Get us the 20 Charisma as soon as possible. Assuming we have Hag's Hair here, we're already at 20 now. Alright, level 5. This is when we get a huge power spike in so many ways. Right away, we get access to level 3 spells, and we get access to Hunger Havdar here. Easily one of the best spells in the entirety of the game. It's going to create a big area of darkness, so that can tie into your darkness shenanigans. It'll make anybody inside it blinded. It'll deal cold and acid damage depending on the beginning or after the turn, or at the end of the turn when you're inside it. And it'll slow things in there too, so it just completely borks the AI that gets trapped in there. It's such a good spell. You know that fight by the end when you're trying to help Halsin save that kid, and you're trying to protect the portal? This spell pretty much just wins the fight for you. It's a really good spell. Now that we also are level 5, we get another invocation, in which case we'll take up Devil Sight. We get access to 2 new ones here to get Slow and Bestow Curse, which is cool. However, you have to use your spell slots for it. So usually the invocations I like to grab are ones that are free. And then we're going to grab Devil Sight here so we can do some darkness shenanigans. But wait, there's more. So just by us being a Hexblade, we're going to automatically get our extra attack here. And then we get a Deepened Pack. And since we took Pact of the Tome, we're going to be able to cast Animate Dead, Haste, and Call Lightning once per long rest. For free! And take note of this first spell here. Animate Dead. This will tie into a future build I'm going to have for you guys. I'll just tell you. It's essentially a Death Knight. That actually works. It's not going to have a huge undead army, but you'll see in a moment when we see our level 6 feature. But also we get haste for free. So this is another spell that we want to concentrate on. Oh, by the way, Hunger of Hadar is a really good, is a concentration spell too. So another reason why I want to have decent constitution so we can keep that up. All right, so that's level 5. What a power, like what a level. Let's go on to level 6 now. All right, so at level 6, we get another 3rd level spell slot. You can pick whatever you want here. I'm going to go with, you can go with Counterspell, but we don't really have enough spell slots to really make Counterspell very viable. But maybe that Counterspell would have saved you from a party wipe. So it's always a good choice to pick. Grant Flight could be solid as well. It's another concentration spell though. but it'll allow you to fly around the battlefield, which could have its merits, since we have very limited spell slots, so we can't really waste all of them on Misty Step, for example. Vampiric Touch is actually a pretty solid one, which is the one I'm going to go with here, because I don't use it very often, but you can use it to regain hit points. So this is a nice way to kind of get some, oh shit, I need to get healed right now kind of thing. So I'm going to go with Vampiric Touch here. So also at level 6, we're going to get our feature Accursed Spectre, where you or an ally within 18 meters slays a target that has the Hexblade's curse on them. Essentially, they are going to be stationary undead ghost things that are going to, on their turn, they're going to just choose a random enemy nearby and attack them with like this like life draining thing. And it's going to heal your character for half of the damage it does. But wait, there's more. Anytime you attack a character with your Hexblade after the Spectre's out, it's going to use its own reaction to jump and attack the target you're attacking. But wait, there's more. So you remember how our weapon has a chance to apply Hexblade's curse? So you could theoretically inflict Hexblade's curse onto one target and kill them, and using your reaction to gain another Spectre, so you theoretically get another Spectre every turn. And each of these Spectres will do their drain attack to heal you on their turn, or will use their reaction to attack with you. So if you have 2 or 3 Spectres, they're all going to jump on that target. So hopefully Editor Remortis shows you that footage of that happening now. Did Editor Remortis do it? Let him know he did a good job down in the comments. Alright, so that's level 6. And honestly, this is a really cool feature, and this is what's really going to make you have that Death Knight feel, with all these cool Spectres going around. And just life-draining stuff, healing you, it's really fucking cool. Alright, moving on to level 7. At level 7, we get access to level 4 spells. There isn't anything really crazy here. What I would probably just pick up would be greater invisibility, so you can just, keep attacking things if you manage to succeed in your stealth checks. Otherwise, just take whatever you want. It's not going to really matter too much, because most likely we're just going to be upcasting the spells from before. So, maybe you take Staggering Smite to get a smite attack. Alright. We also get another invocation here, and it looks like we have 3 more invocations to choose from. We get Sculptor of Flesh, which will allow us to use Polymorph as a spell slot. No thanks. Confusion as a spell slot. No thank you. Or Book of Ancient Secrets. And you can tell by the inflection of my voice this is what we're going to go with. This is going to give you Ray of Sickness, Chromatic Orb, and Silence once per long rest for free, and they won't use spell slots. While these aren't the greatest spells in the game, being able to cast them for free is quite nice. Especially Silence, in my opinion. So maybe there's a bunch of casters somewhere, or like those pesky little undead dudes that are blasting your ass on a certain boss fight in Act 2. We're going to go with Book of Ancient Secrets here. Just because I like free stuff. Oh yeah, we got to pick a spell. Let's go with Greater Invisibility. Alright, at level 8, we get another level 4 spell. Let's just do the Smite. The Smite. Yeah, we could go with Blight too if we wanted, but no, I'm going to go with the Smite. Alright, so now we get another feat. Presumably, you have the Hag's Hair here, so we're at 20 Charisma. In which case we can either grab Great Weapon Fighting, if we bind a 2-handed weapon to ourself for through our Hex, or we can go with Warcaster. Warcaster will give you advantage on all those concentration spells we have, and we'll also use Shock and Grasp on a reaction, who cares. But the main thing we're going to pick this one is for advantage on concentration checks, so we can maintain concentration on our spells. There's also a merit to Savage Attacker. Since we're going to be attacking a lot with our melee attacks, we can get a higher chance on getting better damage dice. So all these are good choices to pick from. I would probably really choose between Warcaster or Great Weapon Fighting, depending on what you really want to use. So pick whatever you desire. For the purpose of this build, and because I like the idea of being like a Death Knight, we're going to go with Great Weapon Master because I want Big Sword. That's all there is to it. And we hit hard, so. Great Weapon Master is a really, really good feat. It'll add a flat plus 10 damage to your attacks, although it does cost -5 to attack to do it. So hopefully you have ways to counter the -5, whether with blasts or just having your high charisma or other means. And also, if we defeat an enemy or get a critical hit on somebody, we can get another attack as a bonus action. One thing to note, though, too, is if enemies have a high armor class and you're probably not going to hit them and you really need to hit them, you can always toggle it off in your passive and then turn it back on when you want to smack hard again. Alright, that's level 8. Moving on to level 9, we get access to level 5 spells. We don't really have much of a choice here. We have Banishing Smite, Cold and Cold, and Old Monster. I'm going to go ahead and grab Banishing Smite here, even though we're not really using ranged options that much, but hey, it's still something. We'll also get access to even more invocations. This time we have Whispers of the Grave to get Speak with the Dead without expending a spell slot. Not too bad. Otherworldly Leap, also not too bad. But then we also get Minions of Chaos. We can cast Conjure Elemental with the Warlock spell slot. So while this is not a free spell, Conjure Elemental is actually one that I think is actually worth using your 5th level spell slot compared to those other level 5 spells. So I'm going to go with that. And give us a nice big beefy elemental to help us in our fight. If we need it. Moving on to level 10, we get another subclass feature called Armor of Hexes. When a creature you curse with Hexblade Curse attacks you, you can potentially nullify the attack as a reaction. It has a 50% chance to work, though. Well, this is cool. I wouldn't really use this that often, because I want to save our reaction to turn people into specters. But in a case that somebody might end up destroying you, this could potentially save your life as well. So it's not a feature I'm mad about, and it's free, so you're not actually really wasting anything other than reaction. But as I mentioned, I want to use my reaction for the Spectre Summon. Alright, we also get an extra to another cantrip here. I'm just going to go with Minor Illusion. So you don't really need any damaging things. I mean, I guess you could, again, do Blade Ward if you're trying to be a weirdo. But Minor Illusion, you can do some funny shenanigans with it. But really, at this point in the game, it doesn't really matter. We get another 5th level spell here. Let's just go ahead and grab Cone of Cold, I guess. Or you can grab another utility spell from before. I guess I can grab Darkness finally on this character. Or Mirror Image, or Invisibility. Well, we have Greater Invisibility, so it doesn't really matter. Maybe we'll just go with Darkness. Alright, now we're level 11. This means we'll get access to 6 level spells through our Mystic Arcanum. We have access to Create Undead, which will allow us to summon a mummy. Flesh of Stone, nobody cares about that. Eye Bite, nobody cares about that. Arcane Gate. I've never actually used this. Maybe it's worthwhile. We also get Circle of Death. It's an AoE necromancy spell. It's not too shabby. So if you want to summon things, go with Create Undead. If you want a big AoE nuke, you can go Circle of Death. Another thing to consider, though, is that these level 6 spells are not going to use a spell slot, at least the first time. I think you can continue casting it again after with spell slots, but whatever these spells are, you're going to be able to get for free. I'm more inclined to go with a summon because it has a chance to last longer than one combat, so you'll get more bang for your buck. Although having a big AoE nuke for free is pretty nice too. And as for spells, we can pick just whatever else we want. I guess we could take another AoE nuke if we need it, or counterspell, or mirror image, or flight. Really, decide at this point, you can just pick whatever you want. I'm just gonna go with Cone of Cold just cause. No real reason. All right. So now we're level 12 Warlock, and we are rewarded for investing 12 levels in the Warlock. We get another invocation here, specifically at level 12. And this one is called Life Drinker. Attacks made with your packed weapon will deal additional necrotic damage to your charisma modifier. And hey, that's our main stat, isn't it? Yoink. So just right off the bat, we're going to get a +5 to all of our attack rolls. Similarly to how the Oathbreaker aura works. So now we have Life Drinker. Pretty sweet. And then we get another spell here. I'm just going to close my eyes and pick a spell. I'm just going to... there. Whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Alright, now we get another feat. So at this point, we can now go pick up Warcaster to be really well-rounded. Or you could pick up Great Weapon Master, finally. If you didn't get that. Or you can go Savage Attacker. Or you can go with Medium Armor Master, I guess. If you want to get +1 more AC. I'd probably lean towards getting Warcaster or Savage Attacker. Alternatively, you could also go Spell Sniper. Learn a cantrip, blah blah blah. Nobody cares about that really. The second part of it is for crit fishing for spells. So that's another way to go. But I'm just going to go with Warcaster. Another feat you can consider would be Polearm Master. Because we are using Booming Blade, if we attack them with a polearm, we get that little bit of extra reach, so we don't need to worry about maneuvering or anything like that. We can just hit them from further away with Booming Blade, and they're still going to have to walk towards us anyway, so they're going to get that extra damage from Booming Blade. But on top of that, if we did hit them with our halberd, or whatever it is, and then inflict Booming Blade on them and move them back a little bit, Polearm Master will also allow you to get an attack of opportunity when they come in range. So that's just another thing to think about. However, Polearm Master does combine amazingly well with Great Weapon Master. At least it should. Hopefully it's fixed by now. Because on top of the free attack and opportunity attack, you're able to attack with the other side of the weapon as a bonus action. And then it's supposed to be able to use the plus 10 damage from the Great Weapon Master. Hopefully it's fixed by now. I know that was an issue back in the day. I just wanted to shout out Polearm Master there because not many people use it. And it also used to be really good with Sentinel, but Sentinel does not work how it's supposed to, like it does on tabletop, sadly. But anyways, the main feats we're going to be picking for this specific build, I'm sorry for that tangent. We're going to be going with increasing our Charisma so we can get to 20 as soon as possible. We're going to take Warcaster and then Great Weapon Master. And that is the build for the pure level 12 Warlock. Honestly, you can't really go wrong with this. This is a really good class to play as. And you also get a really cool Death Knight feel as well. To really emphasize the Death Knight feel, we can take a couple levels of Paladin, but we want to make sure we pick Paladin level 1 just so we can get heavy armor right away. And then you can go rest Hexblade. You probably want at least 2 levels of Paladin so you can get Smites, or you can go a little bit further and get your Aura at level 6. Maybe 6 Warlock, 6 Paladin. Would be not too bad. We'll go into more builds down the road. So I was thinking about it. So as far as this video goes, I'm probably just going to do this build for now. We'll save some other videos later for some crazy Hexblade combinations. But essentially, if you're playing as a melee character that uses Charisma as its main stat, a 1-level dip of Hexblade is just going to make it all the much better. Alright, so that this video is not incredibly long, we're just going to go ahead and end it here. That is the build for the Hexblade. I did say I was going to give you guys more builds, but I'm going to do other videos for that. Because as I'm recording right now, I'm already been rambling here for 45 minutes, so hopefully I'll edit this down to something much more digestible. And yeah, Hexblade's fantastic. And honestly, I'm going to be looking forward to seeing all the cool combinations you can break it with Baldur's Gate 3. Especially with the way the Spectres work. I'm really excited about that, honestly. So we're going to probably see some cool Death Knight hybrid builds down the road, whether it's with Death Cleric or whether it's with Paladin or whatever Charisma-based character. Pretty much any Charisma-based attacker just got a whole lot better thanks to the Hexblade Warlock here. And also, I really like the fact that we don't need to grab Pact of the Blade now. We can get Pact of the Tome, so we can get a lot of more cool spell options and such. Like, look at this. This is all just Warlock spells and stuff we got from our features here. That's really cool. Like Call Lightning for free. I mean, granted, Halsin gets it for free, but still. Whatever. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more guides like these. Or tell me how you are going to combine your Hexblade into your various multi-classes. I think there's going to be a lot of really cool builds coming, especially the way that this new Hexblade Curse works for free on your melee weapons. And the Spectres are really cool. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see what we can really do on this class. Also, before I leave you, I just want to mention that I revamped my Discord over the holidays, and I'm trying to form a theory crafting community so that we all can, hang out and play games together, think of cool ideas for various strategies for all kinds of games, not just Baldur's Gate 3. So if that's something you might be interested in, I'm going to post that in the description. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next video. Farewell for now.